Tonight.
But really strengthen the North American economy and create a situation where North America will continue to be an energy powerhouse.
What we know about the 11th hour deal to avoid punishing U.S. tariffs and reaction from Manitoba's business community. Also tonight.
It's my opinion that there's no way he should be charged at all.
Reaction pours in from southern Manitoba in the case of a man accused of opening fire at people allegedly stealing from his property. Plus, home prices continue their record run.
We've got really a busy market. It's been still a seller's market.
How much more Winnipeg homes are going for, and what to know if you're in the market to buy.
CTV News. Live from downtown Winnipeg with Marilee Caruso.
Shock and anger in Carman tonight over news a rural property owner is facing charges after he was the victim of an alleged theft. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. RCMP say 4 suspects were stealing fuel from the property in the Arm of Dufferin when the owner confronted them with a gun and fired at their vehicles. Standing by live with reaction tonight is CTV's Jeff Keel. Jeff, you visited Carman today. What's the feeling among people there?
Well, many we spoke to feel the owner was simply defending himself. But RCMP say when a gun is involved, it heightens the situation. People living in the Carman area are questioning why a rural property owner is in trouble after RCMP say suspects were stealing from him.
I don't believe the property owner should be charged.
Mounties say on August 15th, the property owner was alerted by a motion camera of 4 suspects taking fuel. RCMP say the 66-year-old man went to the scene in the Arm of Dufferin with a firearm and confronted the suspects. Police say shots were fired towards the suspects' vehicles. 3 of the suspects stayed at the site until officers arrived. They were charged with multiple counts. 1 was charged with possession of a weapon for a dangerous purpose. But the property owner was also arrested on 6 firearm counts. Carman resident George Huchuk and others CTV News spoke to off camera in town can't believe the owner was arrested. Huchuk argues the owner was likely defending his property.
Possibly even himself. Because you don't know, these fellows may have a handgun, they may have a, or some other item, and or knives.
RM of Dufferin Reeve Core Lauder says property crime has been an issue over the last few years and says this incident was discussed by council members at their regular meeting Tuesday evening.
We're, of course, disappointed by it and frustrated with it. And all we can do at this point is continue to support our ratepayers, support our residents.
When the members were on scene and did the investigation, they determined that there was an offense committed by the property owner.
The RCMP says Canadians may take reasonable steps to protect themselves or their property, but any force used must be reasonable and proportionate in the circumstances, including the nature of the threat.
In this case, there was a firearm involved, and when firearms are involved, it just heightens everything.
On Tuesday, the Premier backed the Mounties.
We can have people being judge, jury, and potentially executioner, allegedly. Though I understand the frustration with crime, absolutely.
RCMP say the 66-year-old property owner was released on an undertaking. 2 of the theft suspects are in custody. Another was also released on an undertaking.
Jeff, has the Reeve and council reached out to RCMP?
Yes, Reeve Core Lauder says he has been in communication with RCMP about this incident and is waiting for a formal response. He says he understands it hasn't come yet because they're busy. He stresses council is not laying blame or pointing fingers. He says we all have to follow the law.
All right. Thanks for this, Jeff. Now, this story has sparked questions about just how far you can go to protect your property. Coming up a little later in the newscast, a criminal defense attorney will join us to break down the boundaries of Canada's self-defense laws. Stay tuned for that. Manitoba's supervised drug consumption site has now been opened for a week, and the Premier says about 125 people have visited it so far.
No issues have been reported. So my hope is that for all of the media attention and controversy and whatever that people have tried to kick up around this, at the end of the day, I hope it's open now. It just fades into the background and becomes another part of our healthcare system where people with severe problematic substance use issues can just go and get their healthcare needs attended to in the first instance.
The temporary site is running out of a fenced-off parking lot at 366 Henry Avenue, while renovations are done on the permanent facility at the same site. While staff don't supply drugs, they do offer testing, clean supplies, and access to supports and services. The site is open Tuesday through Saturday. Canada and the U.S. have struck a last-minute deal to pause punishing new tariffs. But Manitoba's business community isn't breathing a sigh of relief just yet.
I think it's interesting times, but there is some cautious optimism moving forward that we are seeing potentially a light at the end of this tunnel.
Now, it remains unclear this hour what both sides have specifically agreed to. While Donald Trump is boasting about it, Prime Minister Mark Carney is only saying the agreement reinforces the Canadian advantage. Manitoba Chambers of Commerce President Chuck Davidson hopes industries based in our province get a fair shake.
I think over the course of the next 2 days, you'll start to see where the impact has been. Obviously, there are key industries that are not Manitoba related, that being automobiles and aluminum that are big players in other provinces that were first on the table. So it'll be interesting to see exactly what this looks like and what concessions have been made and what concessions the U.S. is making as well.
With more on this last-minute deal and what it could mean, we go to CTV's Mike LeCouture in Washington.
After an intense week of negotiations, Canada-U.S. Trade Minister Dominic LeBlanc and his American counterpart emerged shoulder to shoulder, happy with the deal they've reached.
We've reached an agreement that will not only continue to protect American workers, American jobs, American supply chains, but really strengthen the North American economy and create a situation where North America will continue to be an energy powerhouse.
Three sources tell CTV News there are reductions in the Section 232 tariffs on the table as part of the agreement. Those would affect industries like steel and aluminum.
We may bring some of the tariffs down to a level where other countries are, because Canada was paying a higher tariff.
U.S. President Donald Trump proudly posted about the agreement, adding this AI image about the resurrection of the Keystone XL pipeline. Trump has also long complained about American access to Canada's supply-managed dairy sector.
The tariffs will be non-existent for our farmers. Our farmers were paying tremendous tariffs into Canada, and those tariffs are going to be totally eviscerated, down to zero.
LeBlanc tried to reassure reporters that the decades-old system isn't disappearing.
The Prime Minister was very clear we needed to protect supply management. We needed to ensure that the supply management regime remained entirely intact, and I'm confident that that's the case.
The Prime Minister was less clear on social media, posting that the deal is, quote, securing the best terms in each of Canada's most important strategic sectors and providing greater certainty about our future trading relationship. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre says he hopes Carney stuck to his word.
That's what he promised, an even better deal than we had before. To me, that should mean no tariffs on steel, aluminum, autos, lumber, and an exemption to Buy America.
While few details have been made public, Dominic LeBlanc has returned to Ottawa, and the Prime Minister is briefing his cabinet as well as the premiers this afternoon. Mike LeCouture, CTV News, Washington.
Costco shoppers will soon have another spot to fill up their carts. Crews have officially broken ground at a new location in West St. Paul. A groundbreaking ceremony was held last Friday, and today our cameras captured cranes and crews hard at work at the Meadowland Drive site. According to the RM of West St. Paul, the new Costco will feature a nearly 162,000 square foot warehouse on a 20-plus acre site. Plans also include an 8-lane gas bar, a car tire center, food court, and seasonal outdoor garden center. And don't worry about finding a parking spot. There will be 1,038 stalls. The RM says the new Costco is expected to open in August of 2027. All right, let's bring in Colleen Brady now and get a first look at your Skywatch evening forecast. Tracking what looks like to be some rain tonight.
Yeah, a few showers moving along across southern Manitoba. It looks like they're just arriving in Winnipeg. If you are particularly on the western side or the southern side of the city. It looks like it could be getting a little soggy for you now. If it's not just yet, it will. Other areas as well, another band of rain passing through the Interlake there. You see through Riverton and over Lake Winnipeg. So this will continue on again, off again for the next few hours. There is the possibility of an overnight thunderstorm here in the city. There's at least the risk of it. Beyond that, we'll take a look at what's ahead tomorrow, of course, and then as we close in on the weekend that now is not too far away. Let's take a look right now first, though, through the CTV Live Eye. It is brought to you by Bath Fitter, your bath and shower experts for more than 40 years. In Winnipeg right now, cloudy in some areas. I think it's raining in others. 23 degrees with a humid exit, feels like 26. Light winds out of the west. The pressure's dropping, and the humidity right now, Marilee, is 53%.
Thanks, Colleen. A troubling update tonight to a story we first told you about last night. RCMP say the human remains, found community near the paw are those of a newborn infant or fetus. Mounties say the remains were discovered Monday morning in between two homes in Umperville. That's a small community just north of the paw. Anyone with information is asked to contact RCMP. Several households in Steinbach are taking that city to court, alleging its mismanagement of the sewer system caused repeated basement flooding following rainstorms in 2024 and 2025. The statement of claim was brought by 22 plaintiffs who live in the city's northeast. They claim the sewer system was never meant to handle stormwater, but the city knowingly allowed it to go on for years. According to the claim, for more than 10 years, residents have been pumping rainwater into the system with sump pumps. It further alleges the city failed to activate auxiliary pumps in a timely manner during the storms. As a result, the homeowners say water backed up into their basements, damaging property and diminishing the value of their homes. They're seeking an unspecified amount in damages. Now, in response to a request for comment, the city of Steinbach says its legal team will respond accordingly. It goes on to say the city is not aware of evidence indicating reported damages were caused by negligent maintenance or operation of the city's infrastructure. It says severe rainfall can result in backups even when the system is in working order. Steinbach says it is still pushing for retroactive disaster financial assistance after claims in both 2024 and 2025 were denied. Well, if you were thinking of selling your home this summer, now may be the time to pack up. It's still a seller's market, and that means prices are rising. CTV's Joseph Bernacki explains buyers are paying more year after year.
Some Winnipeg homes this summer are fetching amounts never before seen on the market. July price tags show it was a record-breaking month.
Winnipeg, I've been doing this for 21 years, is very steady as she goes. We've got good real estate values that generally always appreciate.
Sean Carady is selling this Cordova Street bungalow in River Heights. It's one of 29 properties he's listing. Carady says business has not slowed down since the spring.
It's been still a seller's market, but I would say our spring was a little delayed, so instead of the really heavy activity in April, May, we kind of got it in June, July.
This bungalow has an asking price of $579,900. Carady says this same house would have fetched about 5% less at the same time last year.
It probably would have been closer to the 540, 550 mark, I would say. But if you go back a couple more years when rates were high, that's where we really see the difference from today. Our prices are always, I always compare Winnipeg to like a staircase. It always goes up, levels out.
Earlier this month, numbers from the Winnipeg Regional Real Estate Board found the average price of detached homes went up 2% from last year and a 6% increase over 5 years. Dan O'Brien, board president, says despite steady gains in pricing this year, sales weren't as brisk as last year.
Sales were down a little bit. So actually number of units sold was down, and that was around 7 or 8%. Just down over last year, which was a really extraordinary year as far as sales numbers go.
O'Brien is hopeful more homes will become available on the market in the second half of this year.
There is a little bit more selection, but it is still not enough to facilitate all the demand.
Carady says there have been several homes sold this year that surprised him.
You see an asking price and then you see the sale price, and they must have had, 8, 9 offers, and the price is $200,000-$300,000 over asking. That's definitely not the norm, but those are the ones that really catch your eye. We're like, wow, that's crazy.
Joseph Bernacki, CTV News, Winnipeg.
The city of Winnipeg is moving forward with a major renovation of the nearly 60-year-old Pan Am pool. The city issued a tender for the first phase of the work, which is expected to run from January 2027 to summer of 2028. It includes concrete repairs to the main pool, tank, deck, and dive towers, replacement of the waterproof membrane, retiling, and various other upgrades. The city says the facility will be closed to the public during construction, but some accommodations will be made for Swim Manitoba and Dive Manitoba athletes. The project has a $7 million budget paid for by the province. A surge in surrendered animals has the Winnipeg Humane Society in a bind this summer.
Right now, we are at capacity, and so what that means is we have a large volume of animals, but capacity also looks like our ability to care for those animals.
The jam-packed shelter has implemented a temporary intake freeze as a result. It's so staff can keep up with feeding, cleaning, and treating the animals already in its care. The Humane Society is still accepting critically sick and injured animals, but doesn't have any room for surrendered pets right now. Communications Director Carly Peters says shelters across the province are dealing with similar issues.
We've seen an increase in owner surrenders because of the inability to afford vet care. Vet care has gone up, both preventative and reactive vet care. So that would be the main reason we're seeing owner surrenders.
Peters says the price of food and a lack of pet-friendly housing options in the city are also contributing to the problem. She adds the shelter does have a food bank program and other resources available to struggling pet owners. The Humane Society is urgently looking for fosters and, of course, forever homes. To help lighten the load, you can find out more on how you can help by going online. RCMP are searching for a suspect in a cottage break-in in southern Manitoba. This is an image of him captured on the property's surveillance camera. He appears to be bald and wearing construction boots, blue shorts, and a blue-gray Under Armour shirt. The break-in took place last week near Highway 440 in the Arm of Louise. The suspect made off with this ATV, along with a grinder, generator, trimmer, and a trail camera. Anyone with information is asked to contact Manitou RCMP or Crime Stoppers. Another traffic note to tell you about tonight. The city says eastbound Logan Avenue between Wink Street and McPhillips Street is closing tomorrow morning at 9, and it isn't expected to reopen until September 22nd. It's for water main renewal work, which is expected to continue for more than a month after the street reopens. 3 transit stops are also being relocated. The numbers are up on your screen. The city says you should check the service alerts page on Winnipeg Transit's website for reroute information. So to come tonight, some exasperation from both sides of the border.
You know, we don't want to play this administration's game.
CTV News hits the street to find out how both Canadians and Americans are feeling about the roller coaster trade dispute between our two countries. That's next. Look at the markets tonight. Crude oil added 33 cents. The Canadian dollar jumped a third of a cent. Gold rose $124. The TSX gained 33 points. The Dow Jones is up 119 points, while the Nasdaq closed 41 points higher. Both the president and the prime minister say they are close to a trade deal, but what one industry considers a win could be disastrous to another. CTV's Judy Trin reports on the trepidation ahead of the new Friday deadline.
Our farmers are going to be thrilled. Our manufacturers are going to be thrilled. And basically, we have no tariffs going into Canada.
There's no doubt Donald Trump likes to win, prompting Canadians to wonder what they could lose. Giving Americans bigger quotas of milk and cheese could chip away at protections for Canada's 9,000 dairy farms.
It will become irrelevant because there will be so much milk entering from every other country that supply management will no longer work. So it's our worry right now.
We are asking the federal government to work for a reduction of the tariffs that are being applied, and we also avoid any new tariffs and also make sure that there is a review.
There are some signs tariffs on automobiles could be reduced. Auto parts manufacturers are hoping the U.S. understands that cars partly made in Canada are de facto American vehicles.
And remind the Americans that a General Motors pickup truck in Oshawa
with 50% U.S. content and 60% U.S. steel in it is as much an American car as the one that's made in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And they're just shooting themselves in the foot.
Singular bow. Meanwhile, small businesses like Victoire Boutique, which sells Canadian-made jewelry and clothes to American customers online, are breathing a sigh of relief. It appears a deal may stave off Trump's new 50% tariffs on $28 billion of Canadian goods.
We want to support our industry. We want to make things easier for our customers and not fall into the trap of thinking this is a normal way of operating.
Right now, there's cautious optimism, but until Friday's deadline passes and there's a signed document, there won't be any certainty. Judy Trin, CTV News, Ottawa.
We've heard from the pundits and the politicians, but how do people along the Canada-U.S. border feel about all this trade talk? Heather Wright finds out.
More than 20 million people visit Niagara Falls every year. Tourists from around the world, as well as those from the two countries that share this landmark. So we stood on a corner in the tourist area, and it didn't take long to find Canadians and Americans with opinions on this trade war and the possible deal to end it.
I think the whole thing's kind of ridiculous. We should have a good relationship with Canada.
I hope it's over, and I hope it doesn't happen again, but we've gone through this multiple times.
There was skepticism among many, not just about whether this deal will get done, but also whether U.S. President Donald Trump won't change his mind down the road.
He, goes one way one day, and then, 3 weeks later he goes, oh, well, that was the worst deal ever, and, so who knows what's going to happen.
With the cost of living high in both countries, some are hopeful a deal will ease at least some pressure on finances.
I mean, the price of everything has gone up, so yeah, we definitely would prefer if our government made some different choices.
And while some believe concessions are necessary,
we can get some middle term to end this battle.
Others want Canada to hold strong and not bow to unreasonable demands.
If it doesn't work for both of us, then let's not do it. We don't want to play this administration's game.
Elizabeth Wennick is worried that a deal could allow more products, some produced with lower standards, into this country.
We need to stand firm on all of our standards and keep them high.
And while a deal seems imminent, there are many Canadians here who would be fine if the government kept fighting to stand up for Canada's interests.
We can do better. We're Canadians. We have more power than we actually use.
For John Dickinson, he's just tired of the whole fight.
How about we just play like nice children in the sandbox instead of, well, I'm bigger than you and I'm just going to bully you. And that's all it is.
And while there is hope that this trade war will soon be over, many acknowledge that it's unlikely the tension between the two countries will end overnight. Heather Wright, CTV News, Niagara Falls, Ontario.
Alberta's referendum is being targeted by a foreign interference campaign, according to Alberta Premier Danielle Smith. Smith says there are online campaigns promoting separation with possible links to Russia and the U.S. She says she's been briefed by CSIS and RCMP. Alberta votes in a referendum on October 19th on whether the province should begin a process to separate from Canada. U.S. Marshals were trying to execute an arrest warrant in Missouri when a deck collapsed. You saw it there. 9 members plunged to the ground when that wooden deck suddenly gave way. 7 officers were treated and released from hospital with various injuries, including broken bones. The 26-year-old man they were there to arrest initially got away, but was taken into custody later in the day. To Ukraine now, where a Russian drone strike on a minibus in the southern city of Kherson killed 4 people today. Another person died in a separate drone attack on a car in the central part of the city. Meanwhile, Ukraine and Russia have exchanged 103 prisoners of war each. Kyiv and Moscow have carried out regular POW swaps throughout the war. Ukrainian intelligence says another exchange is expected before the end of the month. Ukraine expects it will include the return of personnel who've been held for a prolonged period. Israel's military has announced its first criminal investigations into troop conduct in the war with Hamas. The focus is on the 2024 killings of a 5-year-old girl and her family in the Gaza Strip and the deaths of 15 Palestinian paramedics last year. Today, medics in the occupied territory said an Israeli airstrike killed 9 Palestinians at a police station. Several officers were among the casualties. 15 people were injured earlier in the day. Medics say a separate airstrike killed one Palestinian at a refugee camp in a central part of the Gaza Strip. Israel says the attack targeted a Hamas militant. In Beirut, a Canadian government official has restated Ottawa's opposition to the Israeli presence in Lebanon.
We condemn the invasion of Lebanon by Israel. We believe Lebanon should be governing its own space, having its own sovereignty over its lands, and we believe that's an unlawful invasion of Lebanese territory. So Canada and our Prime Minister has made that very clear.
The UN says about 360,000 people remain displaced as a result of the conflict between Israel and Hezbollah. Israel launched a ground invasion and is now occupying dozens of towns and villages in the south. Israeli officials insist the troops won't leave until the militant group is disarmed. TikTok is best known as a platform for viral video trends, but as it becomes more popular, a report suggests it's exploring a step into the world of financial services. Bloomberg reports code located in the current version of the U.S. iPhone app could enable the sending of money via direct messages. The feature would use a function called TikTok Pay, which is already operating in Southeast Asia. A spokesperson for TikTok told Bloomberg the feature isn't being tested at this time. The report says consumers worldwide have spent more than $2.9 billion so far this year on TikTok. It's been the top app globally in terms of in-app purchase revenue since 2022.
We're losing our creativity. We're losing our love of live music as well, because these AI artists aren't going to perform it live.
Raging against the machine. Coming up, how musicians are handling the rise of AI in their industry.
Friday starts off the long-range forecast with a mix of sun and cloud with a low chance of showers with a thunderstorm risk. 24 degrees, sunny start to the weekend Saturday, again 24, mix of sun and cloud Sunday, 26 degrees, so summer temperatures still sticking around. We get into Monday, the possibility of showers increases up to 26 we go, otherwise a mix of sun and cloud. Not as high a chance of showers Tuesday, but we can't rule them out either with another high right around 24 degrees.
Two people are facing charges after police say two transit workers were assaulted within less than 10 hours yesterday. The first incident happened around 6 a.m. at Dunkirk Avenue and Kingston Row in Old St. Vital. Police say a passenger randomly threw a beer can at the bus driver while he was getting off the bus. The suspect then bit the driver when they tried to restrain him. A 51-year-old man remains in custody. Then, around 3:30 in the afternoon, police say a transit supervisor was checking fares at Main Street and Pioneer Avenue when they were punched in the face by a woman who refused to pay. The supervisor managed to hold her until community safety officers arrived. A 31-year-old woman is charged with assaulting a peace officer. The rise of artificial intelligence is a growing concern in the music business. Many performers say it's already getting out of control. CTV's Alex Carpa explains.
Jacob Hurd lives and breathes music, picking up and playing the guitar any chance he can. He's a musician and composer who has performed with dozens of Winnipeg bands and written around 100 songs. After nearly 2 decades in the industry, he's adapted to sweeping technological changes. But the rise of artificial intelligence has him increasingly concerned.
A lot of people are using it to just undermine the very foundations of the creative process.
All local Manitoba bands.
It's a concern shared by local musician and podcaster Joel Emerson, who says it's becoming more challenging to manage and limit the use of AI.
We're losing our creativity. We're losing our love of live music as well, because these AI artists aren't going to perform it live.
First time in San Juan. The Puerto Rico song went viral on social media and became a hit song when it was posted in April, but it wasn't made by a traditional musician. Instead, created by AI, something Emerson is starting to see more of.
You just see some AI artists that are just putting music out, getting paid, and then they're releasing 60 songs a year.
Back in June, the federal government released its AI strategy, but the issue of copyright protection for Canadian content creators was not mentioned. Musicians like Emerson and Hurd would like to see some regulations in place, but tech experts experts say it's not that easy.
It is increasingly difficult to build systems that can detect AI-generated content, right? The whole point of AI is that it makes stuff that sounds and looks just like humans can make, and so we can't rely on detection systems to find it. We have to rely on the models to label it.
As AI continues to reshape the way music is made, local musicians say the challenge will be making sure the technology doesn't come in the way of those who continue to make music. Alex Carper, CTV News, Winnipeg.
CTV Skywatch weather brought to you by South Beach Casino and Resort. Visit southbeachcasino.ca.
Colleen Brady back now with your complete Skywatch forecast. And if you're heading out over the next little bit, you might want to grab an umbrella on the way out.
Yeah, it would be a wise thing to do in southern Manitoba. We've got a couple of lines of showers passing through. All this is courtesy of an area of low pressure that formed in southern Saskatchewan. It's tracking southeast tonight, and that could bring some overnight thunderstorms to southeastern Manitoba. But before then, we've got some showers coming through. We've got one band crossing the Interlake right now, and then further south, exiting the Portage-La Prairie area. I'll zoom in and show you right on Winnipeg's doorstep, maybe parts of the city seeing that rain now, but a particularly heavy line of rain moving through places like Carman, Winkler, Altona, Morris, Emerson as that zips on by. Now, northwestern Ontario, some of this may just creep over the border. There's a chance of it tonight, although the chance is lower. As we move throughout the next few hours, other places, though, back in the southwest like Brandon, that is dry now, may see some showers come through yet this evening. Scattered showers, again, with that risk of thunderstorms, but particularly here in the southeast is where we may see those thunderstorms, as I mentioned, overnight. Otherwise, up in the north, fairly clear for now. That is going to change as we get into tomorrow. Speaking of the overnight hours, we may see some fog develop in different parts of the province tonight. I'll show you a little later where we might expect that. As we get into Thursday morning, cloudy start to the day here in Winnipeg. There's an outside chance of showers with a thunderstorm risk during the commute, but then we should see some clearing as we go throughout the day. Meanwhile, as we clear out in the south, line of showers will cross parts of northern Manitoba and into tomorrow night, overnight, and into Friday. Looks like it's shaping up overall to be a nice Friday here in the Winnipeg area and across the south. Some sunshine across much of the province, but some scattered showers too. Really all across Manitoba, but overall, we're heading into a pretty nice weekend. 15 degrees is our overnight low. Showers look likely. You see them, they're on the radar. They're right around the city right now. Again, with that chance of a thunderstorm overnight, or at least the risk of it. East winds at 20 kilometers an hour. Tomorrow is Thursday already in the city. The UV index is 5 or moderate. Again, that chance of showers or a thunderstorm for the commute tomorrow, 16 degrees. Otherwise, it will be cloudy. Winds easing up a bit out of the east. They will shift and come out of the north later in the afternoon. Hoping to see at least some clearing, enough to call this a mix of sun and cloud. 23 degrees is our high. Quick swing around the province tonight. Clear for the most part, or pretty close to it for Churchill and Thompson. Thompson, it won't be quite that warm overnight, a bit closer to 19 tomorrow. Showers in Thompson, Gillam, Churchill as well, maybe in thunderstorms, but Island Lake, bright and sunny tomorrow, 23 degrees for your Thursday. Showers likely overnight tonight for Lynn Lake. We drop down to 13 there. Now tomorrow, Flin Flon in the Pod, the chance is much lower, but you can't rule out showers either in those areas. 23 degrees, otherwise a mix of sun and cloud. As I mentioned, Brandon, Neepawa, there's a good chance of showers tonight, not a certainty, but a good chance, dropping down to 11 overnight. Now tomorrow, again, Dauphin and Swan River, a low chance of showers, otherwise a mix of sun and cloud. 25 there. Brandon 24 under a mix of sun and cloud. Winnipeg in the southeast, those showers coming through now. We could deal with overnight thunderstorms. 13, 15 degrees now. Winnipeg should get some sunshine in the afternoon after possibly some showers in the morning. Highs around the region around 23, and in northwestern Ontario, cloudy tonight. You might get clipped by a shower or two, and then tomorrow highs in the low 20s. Best chance of some sunshine is in Dryden, but all those areas there do have a low chance of some showers as well. Our first weather photo is a beautiful one. This is what it looked like yesterday evening as the sun was setting over Patricia Beach. That photo is from Tiffany. And this one's lovely too. This takes us just west of Treeherne. You can see a little bit of fog out there with the sun as well. That photo is from Andrew. Email us yours to winnipegweather@ctv.ca.
It's the fastest growing outbreak in history, and the World Health Organization says it's impossible to predict when the infection rate will decline. The latest on the Ebola crisis in the Congo next. Many Manitobans are questioning the boundaries of self-defense laws tonight and just how far you can go to protect your property. It comes after a 66-year-old Manitoba man was charged after confronting suspected thieves on his rural property late Saturday night. Josh Labbe is a criminal defense lawyer and joins me now to discuss. Josh, great to speak with you.
Thank you. Likewise. Thank you for having me on.
First, I'm just curious, are you surprised to see RCMP lay charges against the homeowner in this case?
Regrettably, no. In my experience in similar files that I do and speaking for my colleagues, seems to be standard practice across the country, which seems to be that if somebody is using a firearm, the RCMP seems to be charging first and asking questions later. And so I'm not necessarily disagreeing with them because we don't know all of the circumstances, but no, I'm not surprised to see them charging.
What kind of punishment is this homeowner potentially facing as a result of these actions?
The potentials are varied and far-reaching. He could be facing jail time, and it could be as little as having the charges against him withdrawn, or if his self-defense argument is successful, being acquitted of the assault or the charges, pardon me, in total. The key point here is that we don't have enough information about the circumstances of this particular incident to know yet with sufficient detail to say what his potential penalty is.
We've been, over the past few years, seeing more and more of these incidents come to light. How far can you go to protect your property in a situation like this without breaking the law and finding yourself in trouble?
So I think what's important for Canadians to keep in mind with respect to the law of self-defense is that there is no limit on how far you can go. You can use drastic means, and you can still be found innocent using the defense of self-defense, so long as what you're doing is deemed to be reasonable in the circumstances. So again, harking back to my last answer, the circumstances here are going to be very important. So I understand it that this landowner saw himself as the victim of an act of crime. The question is, was he in danger when he used to or chose to discharge that firearm? And so essentially in Canadian law, you can defend yourself, another person, or your property with whatever means are reasonable in the circumstances. So using a firearm doesn't necessarily make those actions unreasonable, but it'll be judged against the remainder of the circumstances. So what kind of danger he was in, how many people were on his property, was the danger immediate, did he discharge the firearm into the air or towards another person? And so you can go pretty far without breaking the law, but you must be deemed to be reasonable in the circumstances.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how this all eventually plays out. But, a lot of people, particularly those in rural areas of this country where crime is on the rise and, police are lacking, response is slow, they're frustrated by the message they're getting from police not to confront intruders. Is there an argument here for Canada to strengthen self-defense laws?
I mean, I've definitely heard that argument being made. I'm not sure that I necessarily agree. The way that our self-defense laws read right now is that the trier of fact, whether that's a judge or a jury, or even just the police in making their decisions to charge or not to charge, ultimately need to be convinced that an individual has acted reasonably. I don't think that's a bad standard. Now, there are American-style laws where your right to self-defense is strengthened if you're on your own property. I've heard people say that that's something that they'd be interested in implementing in Canada. It's not for me to comment. In short, I think what Canadians would like to feel is that the authorities that are coming to investigate crime won't turn against them when they're using any implement in their disposal to defend themselves and their property. My encouragement to people is, you are allowed to defend yourself, but you have to maintain a sense of reasonableness and act in proportion to the circumstances. It's up to Parliament in Ottawa to make a decision of whether or not self-defense law in Canada is going to be tinkered with or addressed. Right now, I think we have a pretty robust right to self-defense, but again, we must stay reasonable.
Well, Josh, these things always nuanced. Thank you so much for your insight and time tonight. It was really great speaking with you.
Likewise, thank you.
A potential step forward in the treatment of melanoma, a sometimes deadly form of skin cancer. Pharmaceutical company Moderna and Merck say their personalized mRNA vaccine combined with immunotherapy drug Keytruda were successful in late-stage trials. The drug makers say the combination reduced cancer recurrence and kept cells from spreading. The experimental drug is made to order based on each patient's tumor. The Ebola outbreak in Congo has infected and killed more people at a greater speed than any other outbreak in history. Congo's Ministry of Health has now recorded more than 5,000 cases, including more than 2,300 deaths. That's across 6 provinces. This gives it a case fatality rate of more than 47%. It's now spread about 3 times faster than the 2014-2016 outbreak across West Africa, which was the deadliest on record with more than 11,000 deaths.
We added 100 additional expert epidemiologists who will be deployed at the field level, at the health zone levels, supported by almost more than 500 community health workers who will go to the communities, do the contact tracing, and identify the cases, convince the people to accept to be followed up.
That's the regional incident manager for the World Health Organization, who said 400 treatment beds have been added across the country in just the past 2 weeks. This strain of the virus doesn't have an approved vaccine or treatment. Researchers in the U.S. are warning about a possible link between sugary drinks and gastric cancer. The new study was published from Mass General Brigham Cancer Institute in Boston. Researchers found those who drank 1 sugary drink per day had nearly 2.5 times higher risk of cancer than those who had less than 1 sugary drink per month. Authors of the study found higher fructose intake was also linked with higher gastric cancer risk.
Medical Watch is brought to you by Manukin Koster Denture Clinic.
The Royal Winnipeg Ballet goes square dancing. We have those details for you coming up in Spotlight.
Spotlight, sponsored by the Casinos of Winnipeg, presenting Jessica Curson.
Dancers with the Royal Winnipeg Ballet are pirouetting into action, but it's not where you might expect. True North Square has been turned into a working ballet studio. Now, it's all part of a free initiative called RWB Revealed, where the ballet is holding open rehearsals over the course of 3 days. Spectators will have the chance to watch the RWB's dancers train for its upcoming season, attend conversations, and check out performances from emerging artists.
Very nice to feel part of this community. More involved, like people are just working, taking their lunch break, and they can see us working and get to our daily life and see how it works inside the ballet company. It's incredible for us.
Now, today's event ends in just a few minutes at 7 o'clock, but you still have more chances to check out the action. The RWB is back at it tomorrow from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. The event runs through Friday. Here is your chance also to pick up some handcrafted wares and meet the talented Indigenous makers behind them. The Canadian Museum for Human Rights is playing host to an Indigenous artisan market this Saturday. You can expect to find one-of-a-kind items like carvings, textiles, and beadwork. The free event runs 10 to 4 on the first level of the museum. Well, the nominations are in for this year's MTV Video Music Awards. Pop icon Madonna leads the pack with 11 nominations this year. She already has 19 wins to her name. Madonna is followed by Taylor Swift's 9 nominations. Swift is just 1 win away from becoming the most awarded artist in VMA history. The show will be broadcast live from the Peacock Theater in Los Angeles, September 27th. Until then, kick off your Wednesday primetime lineup with MasterChef at 7. The Rainmaker is next at 8, and at 9, watch The Borderline. It's all right here tonight on CTV.
A splash landing caught on tape. Still to come, we hear from the clumsy worker in a clip gone viral.
Women's clothing provided by RW & Company. Salon services provided by S&T Spa Salon.
Normal high for this time of year is still 26 degrees, or well, it's 24 now. We were 26 a year ago, 25 is where we were today. So pretty much we come up the middle there. It's still summertime, is what I'm trying to say, not too successfully. Showers or thunderstorm are possible overnight and into early Thursday morning. It's a possible. Otherwise, we'll see some sun in the afternoon, 23 degrees, a low chance of showers Friday, 24 and sunny to start the weekend. Closing out Sunday, 26 degrees under a mix of sun and cloud. Temperatures in the mid-20s continue into early next week.
Thanks, Colleen. A worker at a Milwaukee ice cream parlor was caught up in a disastrous fumble caught on camera. Check it out. The employee was lifting a large container full of custard mix. Yeah, when you see what happened there, he lost control. To no one's surprise, this slip-up has gone viral. The worker is being a good sport about it, saying, you know, sometimes you just got to laugh and move on.
I was about to go pour it in, and I could just feel my hand slip. And as soon as it slipped, I don't remember anything after that other than being covered in the shake mix.
Now, to add insult to injury, he was sent home after this, and his coworkers had to clean it up.
Oh, no.
You know, when you know it's going to be one of those days. It's probably good that he got to go home.
Great advertising, though, for the store.
Have a great night.